Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. I am a mom to 4 kids. They are 3 teenagers and 1 almost 6-year-old. And then of course my husband. So we are a large family of 6. And today I'm just going to take you along while I cook some of our dinners. This first one is a leftover makeover out of the brown sugar garlic pork chops that I made last week. I'll link the video right up in the corner if you want to go check it out. But we didn't really like those, so the next day I turned them into pork enchiladas. So I just started by cutting up an onion and some garlic and then got them into a skillet to soften up, and then I added in the pork chops and got them all warm and soft. Now this has to be the most American version of enchiladas that I've ever seen, and I don't know that I've ever seen anyone else make them this way. But for the sauce I used 2 cans of red enchilada sauce with 1 can of good old cream of mushroom soup. And I know it sounds weird, but it turns out creamy and delicious, and it kind of cuts the heat for the kids, so they really like this also. But you just combine all those cans, mix them up really good, and then you're going to use that to coat the bottom of your baking dish with just a little bit of the sauce, and then you'll pour it over your assembled enchiladas. So next I put the pork chops in the pan. However, they were still really cold from being in the fridge all day, so they didn't really mash up like how I intended. So I took them back out of the pan, cut them up nicely, and then put them back in the pan, and then you'll see I used the meat masher again to kind of break them up even more once I've kind of cut them up. And then there I'm just adding the chicken broth to kind of soften everything, not let the onions and garlic burn, and just get everything all combined well. Also, who out there makes a giant mess anytime you cook? I feel like every single time I cook, I make a giant mess on the stove, and it's so annoying. But, oh well. Next, I went on to make the yellow rice. I just cooked it according to package instructions, but I did use my home-canned chicken broth out of the rest of that quart jar. And then I went on to make my own homemade refried beans. I made this using 1 pint of home-canned black beans and 1 pint of home-canned pinto beans. And then I just seasoned them to taste. So I used cumin, adobo seasoning, salt and pepper, and garlic and onion seasoning. So once I add all my seasonings, I go ahead and get out my potato masher and get them to the consistency that I like. Always making sure to use my wooden spoon as well to scrape the bottom and make sure that they're not just sticking to the bottom. Once I have them to the consistency I like, I let them simmer on the stove to thicken up. It does not take long to do this at all, and homemade refried beans are always the best. So here I am getting ready to assemble the enchiladas. I just get a tortilla, put the pork mixture inside of it with some cheese, and roll it up and put it inside of my prepared pan. And here's a quick cameo by my oldest son showing off his new wrestling shorts. He thought they were so cool because they're Gucci, but they're not really. We all know they're just a knockoff. So once you have all of your enchiladas assembled, I just pour the rest of the enchilada sauce right over the top. We like them saucy around. And then I cover that sauce with some cheese and toss them in the oven until they are warm through and bubbly. And we put some olives on top of them on this day. We don't always do that. It's just us two, me and you. While those enchiladas were warming up in the oven, I went ahead and moved back to my refried beans. I had some feta cheese here that had cranberries in it, and so I went through and picked out all the cranberries and put the feta cheese in the refried beans. I think that kind of mimicked cojita cheese. I think I said that right, but it's a dry Mexican cheese that is crumbly, so I was thinking it would kind of be the same thing as feta. Anyways, it tasted good and that's all that matters. But I really just used this meal as a way to kind of clean out any type of leftovers that were in the fridge. And this is what it came out looking like. These were gobbled up in no time, and there was hardly any leftovers to send for Josh's lunch the next day, which I love when that happens. Next, I made some chicken fried steaks using cube steak. I quickly patted them off just to get the extra moisture off of the cube steaks on some paper towels, and then I will get my flour and egg ready for the coating.
You were my best friend. Didn't care about the rules, good on the weekends. I'll be in fools, drifting the deep space.
Alright, so I just started out with a good amount of flour. I don't think I really measured it, but I seasoned it up with some seasoning salt and garlic powder and got that all combined well. And then I cracked some eggs into my other pie dish and whisked them up as well. Then I just I moved the cube steaks from flour, egg, back to the flour so that they were kind of double coated, and then got them in the hot oil. Also, I just want to point out that I am using water glassed eggs for stuff like this. I have a ton of eggs from last year that I preserved, and this is the perfect application for the water glassed eggs because they are already kind of runny from being preserved, so they're not good for frying, but they're great for coatings, quiches, scrambled eggs, baking with, all those types of things. So I just fried those cube steaks up until they were golden brown, flipped them, fried them until the next side was golden brown, and then by then you should be able to tell if they're done all the way because you'll be able to see the blood stop pooling on the top of the steak. At least that's how I always tell. But once they were finished, I moved on to the next part of the meal. Now, learn from my mistake. I completely made way too much gravy, but that's okay because we love gravy around here. We used it on top of our mashed potatoes as well, so this meal was mashed potatoes, cube steak, and corn on the side. So for the gravy, after the meat was done cooking, I added flour into my grease, let that cook through a little bit, and then I started adding my milk in half and half until it came up to the consistency that I liked. Next, I tasted it to make sure the flavors were where I wanted, and then I seasoned according to what I felt like it needed. But yeah, that was way too much gravy. If you've made it this far into the video, everybody say hello to my daughter Angel. She had to make a quick cameo there. And then the next night we grilled out because it was like 75 degrees. So I made couscous, a fresh salad, and a grilled pork loin. There was no point in showing you how I cooked that because I just grilled it and I didn't do anything special. But anyways, I thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!